Hey everybody, welcome back to Out of the Ordinary with Jay, and it has been a while, my apologies. It's 2026, and I decided to come up with 24, that's all I could limit it down to, of my most important life questions for me that I thought were maybe other people might find interesting too. So I'm going to interview Dave, and Dave, I have, how old are you?
55.
Okay. And that's a great age to be actually talking about this. You should have some very good, I'm ready for your wisdom.
All right.
So, I've known you for a while. And one of the things, one of the reasons why I wanted to interview you is because you have sort of a different way of thinking than a lot of people. And I like that because it's kind of like you come around to things a little bit differently sometimes, and you kind of have some unique perspectives that are good to bounce things off of and make me think. So with that, here are my top 12 questions. I'm going to do 12. I'll save the other dozen for another time unless we get to it later.
All right.
Okay. What are your thoughts on aging generally? And what I mean by that, the positives, the negatives, aging gracefully, fighting it, health and happiness. Is there a perfect age? How old do you feel? I mean, you don't look 55, you look great. So
appreciate that.
Just generally, what are your thoughts on aging?
For me, mentally, I think it's, you get to a point in your life where in your 20s and your 30s, like you worried about just the dumbest shit.
Yeah.
And, when you get to your mid 40s and mid 50s, like it's not that you don't care about that stuff anymore, but it's just, you learn who you are, and you learn to be comfortable with who you are, and you learn, hey, if other people don't like it, that's okay. They don't have to.
So maybe as you get older, you kind of get a better sense of perspective, what's important, things like that, would you say?
Yeah, I think when you're young and maybe you feel like you really haven't done anything in life, so you
Oh, put my hand down.
yeah.
Sorry.
You think, how much value do I have? What have I really done? And, I think when you get older and you realize the stuff you've been through, the stuff you've done, the things that you've put up with, and, you're like, I'm pretty resilient in going through all of the stuff. So
yeah, right.
Now all the little shit that used to bother you, like, oh, this person didn't text me back within 3 hours, that stuff doesn't bother you anymore. I mean,
so a certain sense of wisdom, so would you say in that regard, you like aging?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't, even for the youth part of it, I wouldn't want to go back to my 20s and be that dumb, for lack of a better
Right. In other words,
word.
You don't think the trade-offs are worth it?
No.
So is there anything else you like about aging? That's a pretty big one. I mean, the wisdom side of things, because it sounds like it's a good time saver for one thing.
Yeah. I mean, the wisdom thing. And I think when you're, I think with dudes, when you're in your 20s, I think a lot of people kind of look at you like, yeah, you really don't, you're not really that wise. Yeah. You're probably going to make a lot of mistakes.
Probably that's true.
Yeah. And you're probably not very trustworthy, or, when you get to your 40s and 50s,
What do you think about this? Because I hear this from people that are honestly quite a bit older than you that I've talked to, right? And especially among men, I probably need to interview some more older women, although I have, and I think they say the same thing, but definitely something like this. I don't feel inside like I look outside.
Okay.
In other words, they still feel like they're their younger self, and they don't really love the mirror situation.
Right.
What do you think about that?
I get that. I think to some extent there's not much you can do. Some people age more, better than others. But
like I've heard it literally. Some people they've had almost like an identity crisis. They'll say,
oh, sure.
Like they look in the mirror and they're like, I don't recognize that person.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Who is that old person looking back at me?
Yep.
Because they don't. You know what I mean? It seems like they're in the wrong body. sort of idea. Most of the time people will say they still feel like they're in their 20s or 30s, late 20s or 30s, somewhere in there. And now they've got this different suit on.
Sure.
And it kind of is weird. What do you think about that?
I think we're all going to get there someday. I think the
lucky ones.
Yeah. At some point, we're all going to look in the mirror and go, I don't know who that is. But if you still feel good inside and you feel like you're 20s and 30s and you can go out and do stuff like and you're still active and stuff like that, I guess that's, that's a positive. We're all going to probably not look like we did in our 20s and 30s. Now, are there things we can do to battle that? Yeah. And I will battle that.
You're a battler.
To my last,
Yeah. I mean,
grave.
You do things like going to the gym and, take care of yourself and eat properly and do all these things. I was just thinking a quicker solution might be just to remove the mirrors in your house.
Well,
I'd be like, anyway. So do you have any other thoughts on like aging at all? I mean, you're 55 now. Do you feel pretty good about things? Or you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things that break down faster than they used to. But I mean, the amount of wisdom you get, the amount of, working out for 36 years, the strength you get just for working out that long, it's like, those are all positives and things that you just can't get in your 20s.
So at 55, is that the perfect age? Is there a perfect age? What's the perfect age if you could pick at where you're at now?
I don't know, because I always think that, like when I was 45, I thought, oh, this is the perfect age. When I was 35, I'm like, oh, this is the perfect age. And,
okay, man, that's a great attitude.
And
if you're always living like you're in the perfect age, that's pretty good.
If there becomes an age where it's like, oh, now you're, you can't go to the gym anymore, and you can't, then that's not the perfect age anymore. But
yeah,
I think the more wisdom you're gaining and the more experience you're gaining, the more you know. To me, the easier life gets when you have all this stuff and in your brain and you can understand how things work. And
so more about what you can do, how you're feeling and stuff like that, less about how you look, and kind of.
Yeah, I think there's always things you can do to your looks that can make you feel a little bit better about yourself.
Yeah.
Now, you're never going to look like you did in your 20s and 30s, but there's no replacement for the wisdom and the experience that you gain.
I think the biggest advantage about the aesthetic part of it is that, if you care a little bit about that, the most positive thing that I really see about that is it would make someone that might not otherwise get up and go to the gym or go to an aerobics class or go to Pilates or go to yoga. They're like, well, I want to look good, right? And so now they're doing something healthy for their mind and body that they might not otherwise do because of the vanity part of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I think there's anything.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Sort of kind of on the same age thing, and I may have asked you this before, but I want to re-ask it again, is so afterlife or immortality? You're 55 now, that's more than probably halfway home. If you had to pick one, I mean, do you worry about death? Let me start with that.
I don't.
You do not?
No.
And why do you not when so many people do? Most people do. Every religion talks about it. Every supplement on the planet is based on it.
I guess just from being a scientist and understanding that you can't create or destroy energy, and we are energy, when this vessel dies, the energy that we are has to go to some other form.
Gotcha. So you're sort of kind of on, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I should, in talking to you, when I say when you worry about death, I should put death in quotes.
Sure.
Is that a good way to
kind
of say it?
Yeah, I think personally that your conscience lives once the vessel dies.
Okay.
So
a lot of people think that way.
Yeah.
I mean, in various religions, various schools of thought have kind of that
so is
sort of idea.
There a death of this vessel? Yes. I believe in that, but do I believe that you just dirt nap it and you don't know what the hell happened? I don't.
Would you have a choice for the next vessel?
I think you do.
No, I mean, do you have a personal choice?
Do I have a personal choice?
Like, I want to come back looking like, Tom Brady, or I want to be a horse, or I don't know.
That's tough because, if there's life on other planets, you don't know what other vessel choices there are. That's like just going to a Toyota dealership and going, here's your choice of your next car, but you don't get to look at
I see. You're thinking
Ford's.
the quote unquote afterlife, not afterlife. Yeah, afterlife might offer options you are unaware of.
Right.
Could make this look ridiculous.
What if you could be in a body where you could fly or?
Just my luck. I'd end up like in a body of a chicken, and I'd be trying to fly, and I would only be able to go like 5 feet. Anyway. Okay, so you don't worry about death. And I guess my immortality or afterlife question is kind of a non-starter with you because they both kind of coexist, right? You're immortal and an afterlife. You're getting both, right? Kind of?
Yeah.
In other words, if your being is not technically dying, that's immortal.
Yep.
But yet there is a totally different life than the one you know now.
Right.
So if I was to say to you immortality or afterlife, you might say, I'll take both.
Yeah, true.
I mean, kind of.
And I think we've talked about this before. There's the theory of immortality where, okay, let's say you could have immortality in this life. Let's say you could cease your aging right now.
Yeah.
And you could live forever. At some point, you've lived so long that you've had every experience there is to have. The only experience that you've never had is dying.
I agree with that, but I will challenge you just on this. In my own opinion, is that every moment is new. Therefore, you would technically not run out of experiences. Now, you might get bored of going to Disneyland 5 million times, right? But technically, it wouldn't be the exact same people, the exact same experience, the exact same lines. So that's the only thing. But I'm feeling you, though. It would be a little boring, to say the least.
Yeah.
Away from sort of the aging thing now, do you have we're coming to you from mid-March 2026 when there's a huge war in Iran that the United States got involved with. There's a big war in Ukraine that Russia got involved with. The world is changing dramatically. China's a rising power.
Yep.
The global order that was kind of arranged after the Marshall Plan is kind of in disarray. So given the time that we're in, or just generally speaking, do you have a biggest fear or worry today?
Not really, because all those are things that, I can vote and try to change it later.
Mm-hmm.
But as of right now, there's nothing I can do about any of those things. And not to say I don't think about them, but to me, at this age, to sit around and worry about things that I can't control is a waste of my time.
Wow, we got a little serenity prayer action going on there,
Well,
or serenity wisdom. I mean, that's the idea is you're saying, I could worry, but I'm going to choose to worry about things that are definitely impacting me in this moment and that I can control.
Right.
Not worry about every existential world affair that's out there. Is that kind of the...
Yeah. If you knew in 3 days that, okay, there's going to be a nuclear war and the U.S. is going to cease to exist, would you sit around and just worry about it for 3 days, or would you want to go get all these experiences in the limited time you had? So my thing is, well, you don't know in 3 days, it could happen. So why sit around and worry about it?
The unexpected often happens. Yeah. So can I tell you where I get kind of stuck on this issue? Is on the one hand, I hear you exactly. Mm-hmm. It totally makes sense. Why on earth would I worry about every little problem out there, right? Or not every little problem, even big ones, even some that might come to my shores, or even some that might hit home, right? Why worry about every little thing? On the other hand, I feel like it's the warriors of the world that enact change, right? They're the ones out there with the protest signs and the picketing and the get out the vote and or whatever, you know what I mean? Like in other words, what I'm saying is if there weren't people that did worry about the minutia or everything and activate, I feel like progress would be stalled. And so that's where I'm with you. I agree. I think it's very wise to not worry about every little thing. On the other hand, I find myself pretty grateful for those that do, who are putting themselves out there and trying to make things better. Do you because they are worried? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. That I don't think those people that are putting action to their worry are just sitting around beating themselves up worrying.
Oh,
are they still worried? Yeah, but they're also putting action towards things. And not saying that, hey, if I believed in something, I wouldn't put action towards it. But that's not me sitting around just, beating myself up for something that I can't control.
I gotcha. So if I'm hearing you right, worrying just to worry or complaining without action or whatever, that is negative. But if something worries you to the point of where you're willing to go out there and fight for it or do something, then that's okay, because now you're putting action behind your, right? Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah,
that makes sense. I think that's good.
I mean, if you're sitting around complaining about something, but you're not willing to take an action about it,
what's the point?
What's the point? Same thing with worrying about something. So I mean, if it bothers you enough and you're taking action for it, that's awesome.
Right, I hear you. Like, as an example, if there's something that I keep seeing or hearing about in my life that stresses me out every day, right? And I do nothing about it, either, stop acquiring that information, stop watching, stop listening, or do something to change the direction of it, then that is pretty pointless.
Right.
Or harmful even.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about what's the biggest fear and worry. What are you most hopeful about in this time? Or what are you most hopeful about in general? What gives you hope?
I do think that as humans, as a society, kind of like the old comic book thing says, as the greater evil comes at you, good will rise up against it. And I do believe in that. So I think, as we all kind of keep seeing, we all keep thinking, hey, the world's getting worse and worse and worse. Yeah. I think there's also, because it's not reported on the news, because it doesn't get ratings, I think there's more good and good and good also happening along with it.
Yeah, there is a great book that I'm going to plug by Steven Pinker called Enlightenment Now. Mm-hmm. It's one of my favorite books. It's a big old thick book, and I actually read it cover to cover. Probably will read it again. It's amazing. But it talks about this very thing. We think, because there is just such an onslaught of news from everything from our phones to email to internet to the TV, everywhere, right? Radio, that things are getting worse. But actually, if you look at the cold, hard data, it's not true. Almost every meaningful category has improved dramatically over the last so many years. I mean, I think in China alone, they took something like, I'm going to get this wrong, it's screwed up, but in the last 20, 30 years, something like that, they took 90% of their billion people out of poverty. Something crazy, right?
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of less starving people.
Yeah.
Right? A whole lot more productive people that might create, the next great whatever, right? So anyway, okay. Yeah, I think I'm hopeful. The one thing that kind of keeps me hopeful, but I don't really love it, but it does keep me hopeful, is this. It seems like humans, and I'd love to get your take on this, we eventually get it right. We eventually come up with the answer. But boy, do we got to wait till the last minute of the last second before, literally, okay, asteroid's coming, that's all right, just wait a little bit longer. Asteroid's coming, it's broken the atmosphere, we still got time, right?
Yep.
And then last minute, last second, we engineer something to knock it out and everybody's okay.
Yeah.
I just wish we wouldn't wait so long all the time. We have good forecasting models, we have history to read. It drives me crazy but that seems to be human nature, is we wait till the last second of the last, whatever to do I don't know. Anyway, okay. If you could travel back in time, is there anything you would change? And this could be anything in big, broader history, anything in your own life. If you could travel back in time, what would you change, if anything?
I don't think so, because, if you believe in the butterfly effect, where you change one thing, it just changes tons of stuff beyond it. So I think in that aspect, I wouldn't want to go back and do anything that changed even history. I mean,
wouldn't want to slap $1,000 on Apple stock back in the 80s or 90s.
But
the butterfly effect.
Sure. Who's to say, you can do that, and then you become one of the first billionaires, and then someone's jealous at you and murders you.
Right. or your own personality changes in such a way that you're unrecognizable only to even to yourself.
Yeah, you become someone you didn't want to be.
Okay, so the answer that you would say, if you could travel back in time and change nothing?
I don't think I would.
Wow.
How about you?
Well, I'll tell you what the two things are that I hear the most.
Okay.
I'm not sure I have a good answer to this. I'll try to think of one. But the answers I hear the most are take out Hitler. But then you get your butterfly effect.
Okay.
But that's the first one. That's the most common probably.
Okay.
And the second one I hear is grab a lottery ticket, because you'd know the numbers ahead of time.
Yeah.
But those would be like the two. If I could travel back in time, what would I change? I don't know, because you got me scared with this butterfly effect thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'd probably, if there was some major technology that was coming around that was, life-saving, life-extending, or planet-saving or planet-extending that got like quashed way back in the day, and I knew about that, I might be like, hey, let's not kill this thing yet. Then I don't know what that would be. I'm just saying if there was such a thing and I knew about it, maybe, like if there was something that, I don't know. I don't even know. I honestly don't know.
You know what, I often think about this, and I often, what if we could go back to the beginning of the United States and make it so there isn't two parties? Oh, that I would have done. If there's just one party.
I would have made it like the European style that they have now, Parliament, where you got like, any two people can throw together a party. You got 27 parties, you know what I mean? Or 50 parties or whatever the number is, or something different. I'd probably also change I don't know, I'm kind of mixed on that 2 senators from every state thing. It makes sense from a state's perspective, but I'm like, man, I think it's like, I get the math wrong all the time, but I think there's like 37 states times 2 equals 74 senators, and they have less of a population than the state of California that has 2.
Yeah.
That seems like a ridiculously bizarre way to represent a population in a country. But, so I don't know exactly but yeah, I don't know.
But, how much further ahead would the world and this country be if they just didn't play politics for how many hundreds of years?
It's a speed bump progress stopper from hell.
Yeah.
It sucks. I agree with you on that. I think a lot of people agree with you on that.
Yeah.
And then my other thing that I would say is, and I would just first of all, make it illegal for anybody to be taking money. But if it were in the current system, I'd make them all wear NASCAR patches based on the size of their sponsorship. So you knew it was represented. So you're like, oh, okay, I can see. Yep. Boom, right there. Coca-Cola or whoever. You know what I mean? Like, so I know where they're coming from. Okay. By the way, while you're watching this, if you like this, tell us what you think. Comment below. I do respond to comments, and please like and subscribe. What would you do if you found out you had 1 year to live?
1 year to live. Well,
what would you do?
Probably just go see things that I've always wanted to see, or do things I've always wanted to do.
So kind of come up with a bucket list and knock it out that year?
Yeah, I don't think any different than what most people would do.
Yeah, I don't think I would just do my usual status quo. I'd have to do something different.
Yeah.
Like there's no way I'm just going to get up, check my email, watch my couple YouTube videos, grab my lunch, watch a couple, whatever, go to the gym, watch, I'm going to go see Stonehenge or Eiffel Tower or Grand Canyon or.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's probably what I would do is I'd spend would you do anything like Daredevil-y, like, finally bungee jump or skydive or anything like that?
Well, I have bungee jumped.
Oh, I would not.
I don't know.
Maybe on the final day?
It's like, if I only got a year left, why do I want to take a chance that it's less than a year?
What about on the final day?
Well, yeah, that it doesn't
day
matter,
365,
right? Yeah.
Jumping out of a plane.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe die on the way down.
Yeah. Aim yourself at somebody you never liked. Anyway, all right. At 55, what is an important life lesson you have learned? You have any sort of wisdom, tips, ideas, anybody? Because, I always say life's not always rainbows. It's sometimes more difficult than other days, and sometimes more difficult for some people than others. But do you have any kind of something that might give someone a little bit easier time at this game we call life?
Yeah, I think one of the hardest things for me to learn was that no matter what subject you're talking about, you're the only one who has that unique perspective on whatever it is you're talking about.
Yeah.
Now, some people might agree with you. I don't think I've ever had anyone agree with me 100% on every little aspect of something. So whenever someone's talking to you and they have an opinion on something, understand that that opinion isn't just pulled out of nothing. Like, that opinion was built over time from things they've seen and experiences that they've had. So they're, it's like looking at a coffee mug, and you're looking at the front of the coffee mug and it says best dad in the world. And they're looking at the back of the coffee mug a different way. And they're like, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't mean you both aren't right.
Yeah. You could be looking at the coffee mug as a coffee drinker, right? They could be looking at the coffee mug as someone that used to make pottery.
Sure.
Night and day.
Yeah. Good.
Right?
Yeah.
You might be like best coffee mug in the world, and they're looking at it like it's a shoddy piece of fabrication, right? So that is very interesting.
Well, and I always tell people
hard to put yourself in other people's shoes.
I'm like, sit down with your significant other, play a song neither one of you has ever heard, listen to the lyrics, and then tell each other what the song means. I guarantee you won't have the same opinion on that song.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good. Yeah, to put your song thing together with what you had said previously, there's that great song. It's by, I can't remember her name, Natasha Bedingfield or something like that, Unwritten. I love that song. The rest is, the rest is still unwritten. Yeah. Like, no one can feel the whatever on your skin. No one can see out of your eyes, that whole thing. Yeah. Anyways, I love that idea. Yeah, no, that is true. In other words, you can't put I'm gonna paraphrase this and tell me if I got this right or wrong, but you can't put yourself in other people's shoes all the way.
No.
So at least kind of give them the respect of they've got a perspective that they've come to based on their whole being and their whole body of experience.
Yeah.
Is that kind of it?
Yeah. And I think as people, we need to, instead of arguing our point all the time, take some solace in, hey, what can I learn from that person's opinion that might help change mine? Or hey, is what they're saying, is that, does that make more sense than what I believe? And maybe it doesn't, and maybe it does. And that's, I think, instead of just rejecting anyone who doesn't agree with you, which is how the fuck are you ever going to learn anything?
Dumb, no growth.
Yeah.
No new information.
Yeah.
I will say this is one thing that I struggle with. I have my whole life, still do. But if someone's talking to me, we're having a conversation, I get thoughts popping into my head that are like, oh, that's a good point, but, or, oh, I hear you, and, right? And I've got all these things I want to think.
Yeah.
And they're distracting me from hearing all that I want to hear. Do you know what I mean? And I almost need to constantly walk around with a pad of paper, okay, thought, write it down. So it's out of my head and I can clear the deck.
Yeah.
But I'd be pausing someone 150 times. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, that is something that I'm sure lots of people struggle with that.
Because I know I struggles with that.
It happens to me all the time when I'm talking. Yeah. I'll test it on people while I'm having a conversation. Let's say I'm talking about whatever, a football game or something, and then I can tell they're kind of drifting a little bit, and I'll just throw in weird stuff so then my eye fell out of my head and caught on fire. And I'm like, oh, really? That's interesting. And I'm like, you're not even, anyway, it's fun. Okay. Probably shouldn't do that, but it is fun for me. Anyway. How would you define a good day? What does a good day mean for 55-year-old Dave? What does a good day look like? Or generally speaking, maybe not for you in particular, just a good day. How do you describe a good day?
I think any day where you either learn something new or, either reaffirm something you believe in or change your opinion on something or, have some sort of growth in that day. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to actually even leave the house, but, you can read a book and get a different perspective on something or, understand something you didn't understand before. I think the great thing with AI coming out now is you can ask it so many questions and, it can spit stuff out at a fifth grade level that people, you can understand. Yeah. I need that sometimes. It's talk to me like I'm a kindergartner because I don't understand this.
Yeah. On sort of more contemplative things, they've got to get it together a little bit more because I'll use Gemini, Claude, and ChatGPT, and I will get 3 different answers on various things. And I'm like, well, now wait a minute. Now you just sound like all my buddies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're supposed to be the be all end all. Let's get down to the nitty gritty facts. And now and it does do that on a lot of things. So don't get me wrong. But I am saying sometimes I'm like, So I've gotten into this habit where pretty much no matter what answer it gives me, if I'm like, whatever, I hurt my arm, like, what do you think I should do, right? And it will say, you got to do the rice thing, the rest, the whatever, all this stuff. And I'll literally, my next thing is give me the contrarian reply. Like give me why what you just said is wrong.
Okay.
And it's an interesting kind of thing, and it will do it. And then I'm like, and it will do it so well that I'm like, well, now I don't know what anyway. But it's an important thing to.
I guess I would tell you, okay. If you have 3 and you have 3 that say different things, and you say, give me the contrary to all 3 of those, now you have 6 different perspectives. I would say the right one is the one that resonates with you the most.
Oh, fair point. Right, the right one is the right one that's right
because
one for you.
That's the one that's going to enrich your life. It may not enrich someone else's life. I may read the 6 and get something else out of it.
That is
but I think that's the beauty out of it is everyone's going to get something different out of it. So, which one of it resonates to you and is going to enrich your life the most? Take that one and run with it.
Okay, I like that, except for, I do like that. I think that's great. That's a good advice and good wisdom. As long as it doesn't relate to like factual matters, like, it thinks San Diego is in the state of Nebraska. You know what I mean? We got to get that right. I think it is
But
right.
how much more of an interesting person would you be if you believed that?
Dude, if I walked out, where are you going to go? We're thinking, buddies of mine, we're thinking of going down to San Diego, Nebraska. I would be super interesting. Maybe, you know what? Maybe I've got this all wrong.
If you live life like that, dude, you don't know what it would be like.
That would be awesome. Wow, man, we went there. I couldn't find SeaWorld, but there was a tornado, and it was amazing. Okay, I'm with you. That's a good point, man. I like your attitude on this. I don't know how I would define a good day. I'm pretty simple on that, but I'm a lucky person in that I'm pretty happy almost most of the time. And so my definition of how do I define a good day is I'm awake and I know it's a day, like I'm alive.
Yeah.
Like that's good enough for me.
Okay.
Along those same lines, for you, or how would you describe, what is the purpose of life? Is there a purpose of life?
Yeah, I think so.
What you got? Have a guiding principle, keys to good life, anything like that?
30,000 foot view. I think the purpose of your life is to do things in this life that helps your soul gain experience and understand things like love, hate, all that stuff a little bit more, so your soul is a more aware and conscious and higher vibrational entity.
Okay, so
a lot there to unpack.
There is. No, but if I take the metaphysics part of it out of it, what I'm hearing is the purpose of life is to have experiences, to gain experience, to live it.
Right.
In your view, that would be to make your soul a better version of itself or a more improved version of itself.
Yeah.
But I think that can translate over to anything. In other words, even a purely secular view of which would be, hey, the purpose of life is to have experiences and get the most out of life. Is that kind of, correct me if I got that.
Yeah, I think, and this might be a little extreme view, but like, if you had a child and your child was impatient, and you had the ability to turn your kid into a rock for a week so that he could do nothing but just sit there and learn patience, what a better way to teach something.
I don't know, but you'd be the first trillionaire with every parent out there.
Yeah, right.
If you could
turn your kid into a rock.
I've got this little potion here. Just slip it into their morning cereal. Boom.
Yeah. But I think the life that we lead, there's a lot of restrictions on. And I think those restrictions are there for us to learn certain things.
Okay. So the purpose of life, again, is to have experiences to better oneself?
Yeah.
Kind of?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone would agree that life is pretty hard.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't hard, what the hell would you learn? It would be pointless.
I don't know. Sometimes I'd like to try.
Well, yeah, you'd love it to be Disneyland every day, but
Yeah.
it ain't, you're not going to learn anything.
Whatever. I get freaky upset about the whole food chain. That already bugs me. Like, I'm just like, what? This is terrible. I don't want.
Everything's dying.
If I accidentally flip by like a National Geographic, I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, I can't.
I'm like, I can't. No, I'm like, that one was cute, and now it's gone. And I'm like, well, that one did have to eat, and that's what it eats. And I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. All right. So you define what is purpose of life? Got that? Okay. What is the toughest and the best thing about life, would you say? We kind of went at the start of that. But.
Yeah, I mean, the toughest thing about life, I think, and I think you'll agree with me, is to change your opinion on something that you believe so strongly in. And I think you and I are on the same page. Like, you and I love nothing better than someone to come with an opposing opinion to what we have, but have all these facts that back it up that makes us go, oh shit, like I never looked at that.
I live for aha moments and epiphanies. They're great. I think a lot of people like those.
Yeah. And I think the hardest thing in life is, you've based an opinion on all your experiences and stuff, but then someone comes with something else and facts to back it up, and you have to change that.
It's a big problem because we end up defining our person. Psychology tells us, we end up defining our person in large part. By the way, I'm not a psychologist. Based on your experiences, things like that. And like, if you ask a lot of people in the U.S., like, hey, so, who are you or what are you? Oh, I'm a Republican. I'm I'm an accountant. I'm a whatever, right? Mm-hmm. That's who you are. A job title in a political party? Right? And so I think that's where it gets a little challenging, because when someone comes in, like you said, and gives you that aha moment or that differing point of view or something like that, every year you've gone on, every month it's gone on, you've continued to define yourself in certain ways. Mm-hmm. And so if anything kind of breaks through that, you're like, well, it's almost existential, right? Who am I? What am I? What do I believe in? What do I stand for? No. Right? And that's why I think it's so hard for people to like do what you're talking about. Change. Yeah. I'm not excusing it. What I'm saying is it's just really hard because people end up defining themselves in these roles and these characters, and it's very difficult to shed that when you're alive and kicking and it's kind of working. Yeah. Even a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think one of the saddest things is like in the example you gave, it's like, who we are. Well, I'm an accountant. Okay, who are you when you retire?
Yeah.
Because most of them say, well, I used to be an accountant. That's not telling me who you are right now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's telling me who you used to be.
Exactly.
Who are you now? So you shed a label, and all of a sudden you realize, oh shit, I got to redefine myself.
Yeah, I brought up the name, Tom Brady's name before, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to use it again for this example. But, I don't know that much about Tom Brady. I just know he's won the most Super Bowls. But I can imagine his life was always something like this. Tall, good looking, great at sports. Yeah. Okay, that's how I'm imagining his life. So probably he was the rock star at his high school. Probably he was the rock star in college. We know he was the rock star in the NFL. And that was the first half of his life. And then at 45, all that's taken away. And most people aren't as lucky as him to volunteer in professional sports.
Right.
They retire because they're injured or something, right? And I always thought that's just got to be really hard, even with all that money and unlimited resources, to be the best or so great at something, so much better than everybody else at something, be famous for it, have a ton of money from it. And then that's not you anymore. You can't do that anymore. And I just thought that's got to be a whole lot of counseling to get through that.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, but everybody goes through that, right? If you were just a normal person, you can't play your sport anymore, or you get bonked on the head, you can't do your job anymore, or whatever it is. Anyway, I always think that's a really tough thing when circumstances change to where you've got to really, and that could be lots of things, right? That could be divorce. That could be losing your job.
Yeah.
There could be a million things that really make you pivot in a way that's uncomfortable, but often leads to better things.
I think that happens to to people when they have kids. Now parents are so involved with their kids, parents kind of just lose their label. It's like, okay, who are you? Well, I'm a parent. I'm a parent and a nurse. Okay.
I'm Tiffany's dad.
Yeah.
I'm John's.
Yeah, and usually when you talk to people who have kids, all they have to talk about is their kids, because that is their life. Mm-hmm. And I understand that, but it's like, okay, well, that's not telling me who you are.
Well, I think in that moment that is. Well, because they've taken on the role of a parent, right? This is, if they were they were a club hopper, single and mingle person, and now they're married with children. They've swapped that label for this new one.
Yeah.
I think where a lot of people struggle, in particularly, it seems to me, a lot of mothers, is when the kids are gone. Now what?
Yeah.
You know, now that next label, you know, this one was kind of put on you. Now what?
Yeah.
You know, particularly if there's not grandkids or anything else to kind of fill that.
Sure.
You know, anyway. Okay. So we said toughest and best thing about life. Did we cover that? We're going to say we did.
Sure.
Okay. This goes back to a little bit what we were talking about before, like when I was talking about having a conversation with somebody, and how sometimes they'll be saying something like, oh, and I have an idea, and oh, I want to, and I'm not really hearing them all the way.
Yeah.
This is kind of a cousin of that, which is, do you think people really care to understand you or understand things, or they just want what they want? In other words, are people sort of down for the critical thinking part of things, or do they pretty much just want what they want? I'm not sure what this question is actually saying, but do you know what I mean? Like if you were saying something, say you had a reason that you did something that somebody didn't really like, and you had to explain it to them, or you felt compelled to explain it to them because they were unhappy.
Yeah.
Do you think they really care about where you're coming from, or are they just stuck with what they wanted anyways, and they're like, the fact that you're just going on about it is pissing them off even more, because now they're like, not only did I not get what I want, but you're explaining why I didn't get what I want, when all I want is what I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that depends on the situation. If you're in a work situation and you did something, your boss is like, hey, why the hell did you do it that way? And you're like, oh, well, because A, B, C, and D happened. That's what, and I think that could be, oh, okay. I think if you're in a relationship and you do something that hurts your spouse's feelings, I think their feelings are hurt. I don't think your explanation to why you hurt their feelings is going to matter too much to them.
I guess I'll give you this. Here's an example of where I think of it sometimes is not the best example, mind you, but as I think of like road rage, right? Mm-hmm. Someone cuts me off or whatever. I'm already probably driving not how I should anyways, but someone cuts me off and I'm thinking like, that guy can't drive, right? And I'm also thinking like, what's his problem? A number of things that come through my head. Oh, he should take his license away, whatever.
Yep.
What doesn't go through my head automatically is he probably has to go to the bathroom really bad. His wife's in labor.
Yep.
Right? And all these other things. I do wonder sometimes, I know with my own self, like if I bumped into that guy at the gas station, he's like, hey man, sorry for cutting you off. You know, I had to, and I'd be like, it would just wash over me what a jerk I was.
Yep.
And you know what I mean? So I think I'd want to know, but I don't know. I feel like in so many other circumstances, like say someone's not doing well with, they know they need exercise and they've got all these medical problems that would be solved by being in better shape, better diet, better exercise, right?
Sure.
I don't know that I think people have to hear things when they're ready to hear it.
Sure.
Otherwise, it's like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know where I'm going with this. Basically, I feel like sometimes that I've seen it enough times where I'll see someone trying to explain a position to somebody so that they get it, and the other person I can clearly tell doesn't give a crap. They don't want to hear they don't want the reasoning behind it. They're viewing it as excuses.
Yep.
When this person really does have a really important way that they got there and a really good reason for it. But this person's like, yeah, but you were 15 minutes late to lunch and just not cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think the person receiving the information has to be ready to process it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe it doesn't happen at that time. Maybe at the time we're telling them they're so hurt that I don't give a shit what you say, what your excuse was, that pissed me off. But you know what? Maybe if they're an introspective person, they can go home later on and remember what you said and kind of, once their feelings have gone down, look at it and go, okay.
Yeah, it is tough in the moment. I grant you that.
Yeah. So, but I'll give you an example. Like, I'm sure people with kids is the same, but like, I know when I take my pets to the vet and they're sitting in a carrier on the seat, I drive way more cautious than I do if it's just me in the car.
Right, and no one can see them.
Right.
Because they're in the seat.
Yeah, so people are just like, what's this slow bastard doing? Like,
why you got the fast car if you're going to go so slow?
Right.
Get out of the whatever.
Yeah. So do I always think that when I see someone going slow? No, I'm just like, oh, it's, an old person or a snowbird or someone who's looking at their phone, right? And sometimes it is, but other times it's not. So I don't ever know, but I think we're all guilty of, and I think that's just I think like you said before, we're all selfish, and no matter what situation you're putting in, no matter what conversation in, you're selfish, and you're going to take this whatever you need out of that conversation to be selfish.
And I think part of it might also be too why people, at least seem to me that people just care to understand a little bit less or try to see other point of views. I think everybody's just so busy all the time that there's not really a lot of time for curiosity.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, ever since, Google and definitely with AI, everybody's an expert on everything.
Yeah. Like
you can't hey, did you hear about this guy? I already know. You know what I mean? It's like you can't get anything valuable from any other human contact now, unless they write a blog or make a YouTube video, right? Then all of a sudden you can listen to them. Right. But person to person, not so good.
No.
Anyway, okay. I don't know. That was a big tangent. So anyway, whatever. What do you think about happiness? And what I mean by that is, what do you think it is? What do you think happiness is? Is it important? Just what do you think about happiness? What does that mean to you?
I think it's a choice. I think if you grew up and you lived in a mud hut in Africa and you moved to America and now you live in a trailer park, you're probably pretty damn happy. But other people, if you grew up in a mansion and now you live in a trailer park, you're probably not that happy. So I think it's a choice of looking at the things that you've accomplished, who you are, what you have, what you believe in, your life around you, and just accepting that, hey, this is pretty damn good. And, and I need to be grateful for that. And so I think it's a choice.
Yeah.
Now, I think there is, and we've talked about this before too, there's also a drive of, hey, if you're, the people who aren't always content with what they have are also the people who gain the most success because they're always driving to grab that next ring, grab that next thing.
Yeah.
And there is some merit to that as well. So does that mean they're not happy? No, maybe their happiness is doing that action. And, so I think it's a choice of looking at what it is happening and just saying, oh, you know what, I'm happy with the way that is.
Yeah, I think that's very wise what you said. It reminds me of something that I heard not too long ago. I forget where I heard it, but I loved it. It said, happiness is not something you chase. Happiness is something you choose. Mm-hmm. And that's basically what you're saying. Yeah. It's something that you choose. I will say it's interesting on the contentment side of things that you brought up, because I'm one of those people that I'm like, I am never content, not even close. The moment that I'm like striving for something and reach it, it could be a very big thing that I've worked years for, right? Yep. And by the way, I'm not alone in this. There's plenty of people that do. I'm like, and I could, like, say it's a trip, right? I know this actually happened to me not that long, a couple of years ago. I went to Stonehenge for the first time, way out in the UK. Long flight. Man, I've always been fascinated with Stonehenge. So this is going to be cool. we get there, and I'm like, I walk around it like once. I'm like, okay, let's go. We got 4 more things to see. Like, you know what I mean? Like what?
Yeah.
This thing I've been thinking about for years and years and years. I'm finally there, right there. And I'm like, it's been, a minute and a half.
Check the box.
Let's check the box. That is not right, because I'm like, there's this bucket I want to just keep filling up. You know what I mean? With stuff. But yeah, no. But I agree with you. On the one hand, I said this when I was young, a little bit younger. I would say I always thought in my mind, and I probably told people this too, but I'd say I always thought contentment was for the weak. I always thought if you were content, you were a weak person. In other words, like, how could you be happy with that? Or what, no aspiration, what, right?
Yeah.
Now, as I've gotten a little bit older, I tend to think contentment is for the lucky.
It's a good way to put it.
Because I think if you're one of those that can truly be happy with what you've got, where where you're at, you're a very lucky person.
Yep.
Not the sort of the opposite of what a little bit younger me would have argued. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I might have, when I was younger, a little bit younger, I might have said, how could you possibly be happy with this? You've got all these skill sets and you're not using them, blah, 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 blah. And now I'd be like, wow. And they're still happy. That's amazing. You know what I mean? So anyway, okay. Last question. If money was no object and you could bring anyone with you, where would you live?
Right where I'm at.
So right where you're at. You're not moving to the high rise in Tokyo.
Nope.
You're not, nothing in, so no major condo in New York. No beach house in Malibu.
No, I mean, we live in Arizona. Tell me what natural disasters we have.
Heat.
Well, if you can call it that, but
you're right. Heat's too good a word. You're right. That's not a good enough word for it. Hell.
We don't have, maybe once a tornado hit somewhere.
Yeah, no, those don't really count. We do have some stuff here though. We got haboobs. Those are nasty and weird.
Wow.
We got scorpions and rattlesnakes.
But those aren't life-threatening things.
Rattlesnake is.
Oh, rattlesnake is, but
yeah.
I'll take.
But it doesn't matter. You don't need your reasons for this. You like it here. You like Phoenix Metro.
You've ever lived anywhere where there's mosquitoes? I will take the dry desert any day, and
mosquitoes do suck.
I'll take 115 degrees any day over those damn things.
Okay, but you wouldn't take. Again, money's no object you could take any with you. You wouldn't take that Malibu beach house. They don't have a lot of mosquitoes there, and you got an ocean.
Hurricanes.
Well, all right. Hey, look, I'm not going to fight you on this one. So
why are you trying to sway me?
This goes back to your thing on happiness. You're good right where you are.
Yeah.
Perfect. We will leave it there. Thank you for the interview, Dave.
Thanks, Chase.
Appreciate it.